Havergal allowed me to set a foundation that I don't think I was totally aware of until I left the school. And Havergal has always been home.
Hi, I'm Brian Master, and we're talking with Charlotte Anderson today. And Charlotte is a graduate of Havergal College, Havergal School.
Yeah.
Good morning. How are you, Charlotte?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Good. Thanks for taking the time to do this. I know you've been pretty busy as you're a doctor, correct?
Yes, I am a PhD doctor and small business owner in Toronto, and it's been busy, but I'm happy to be here.
Excellent, excellent. So let's get to just finding a little bit about you, if we may. Can you start by giving me a summary of what you've been up to since you graduated from Havergal? Things like where was your post-secondary education? What did you study? And then a little bit of insight into what you're up to now.
Yes, absolutely. So I graduated from Havergal in 2005, and I went straight to the University of Western Ontario to start my degree in kinesiology. I also was on the varsity rowing team there, which, not that I wasn't pulled to Western for the academics, but the combination of the academics and the opportunity for being on a varsity sports team kind of was the pull to Western. So I was there for 4 years, graduated captain of the rowing team, honors at school, and then I took a year off to kind of explore what was next. And I did some traveling. I did some community work over in Nepal.
Wow.
And it was at the time of the 2010 Olympics in Vancouver. So I ended up going out there and working for a chunk of time. And then I came back to Toronto and started my master's in physiotherapy at the University of Toronto. So that was in 2010. And that was a 2-year program. Graduated from that, worked for a year in Toronto, and then decided I was going to go out on my own and start my own businesses and clinics within Toronto and the Muskoka area. So I did that, started 3 clinics, was lucky enough to start a satellite clinic at Havergal actually as well, which was nice to be tied back into the school. And then in 2015, continued to run the businesses, continued to practice clinically, but went back to U of T to do my PhD in the Faculty of Medicine with a focus on pediatric concussion and growing that field and scope of practice in rehab. Graduated from that in 2019 and kept working clinically and opening up a couple more clinics in the meantime. And then currently, I live in Toronto. I am doing my postdoctoral research. I'm a postdoctoral fellow at McMaster University, and I continue to work clinically, continuing to grow clinics and build a few more concussion clinics, and putting a bit more energy into the research world and growing the clinical research world. So that's where I'm at now. And who knows where I'll be next month or next year, but it's been quite an academic journey and quite a business journey and an entrepreneurship journey. But you know what? I've actually been linked to Havergal the whole time, and I've been very grateful for that, and the opportunities that has provided as well.
Do you think Havergal influenced your choice of university in the area of study you pursued?
Absolutely. It influenced the area of study, and it influenced what I was looking for in my undergrad experience, as well as the athletic component of it as well. I was fortunate enough at Havergal, as you probably told, I was an athlete and worked through the school in a number of different sports. My coaches were inspirational to me and had a lasting impact on me, my Havergal coaches. But in grade 12, I had the opportunity of taking a kinesiology class, which at that time was newer to the high school curriculum. And that, coupled with the support of my coaches and you know what, the science teachers at Havergal as well, kind of allowed me to pursue the area of science with more of that specialization on the human body, which definitely influenced my my decision to go into kinesiology. I will also say that Havergal encouraged me to pursue the academic side, absolutely, but also the athletic side for me, and to figure out how could I do both and make sure that I was doing both to a level of excellence and a level that challenged me in that academic component and in the athletic component. And again, at the time, I don't think I was totally aware of what guidance and Havergal was encouraging me to do. But in hindsight, I'm very grateful that I was able to do both and do it at a great school at Western, and that Havergal kind of encouraged me to look at the different facets of university and the different roles university would play in my life, and that undergrad was step one of many more to come, and how could I keep as many doors open and pursue what at the time was me, which was also my athletics.
Now, I just want to make sure that our viewers know, kinesiology, is that basically the study of sports medicine, or is that too broad a term for it?
It's probably a little bit broad. Kinesiology is the science of the human body. So kinesiology, when I went into it, was still relatively new. It's within the faculty of science, but it has a focus on the human body. So the first couple years are very, I will say, the foundations of science: biology, chemistry, physics, and then you move into biomechanics, sports physiology, and probably takes a little bit more of a sports lens, but it's more of how the body works, how the body functions in that scientific component. So I would say a lot of grads from kinesiology go into medicine, into a healthcare field, or into teaching, actually. And that, not that that's the only thing you can go into, but I would say that's the majority of what kinesiology grads go into. Kinesiology is a registered profession now to be a kinesiologist. So that's, once you graduate with a kinesiology degree, you can be a kinesiologist, which tends to work kind of in the rehab field. But I would say most people go on to do something else healthcare related.
Charlotte, if you were to write a resume listing your experiences and accomplishments and interests while at Havergal, what would it say? What would it say? For example, your extracurricular activities you were involved in. You already mentioned that. You can mention that again. What subjects did you prefer and excel at? And what was your proudest memory of being at Havergal?
You know what, this is hard for me because I actually don't really like to talk about myself, but I would say I would separate it into kind of that academic component, extracurricular component, and leadership component. So academically, I would say in the grade kind of 11 and 12, I really gravitated towards the sciences, as is with any high school curriculum. You know, grade 9 and 10, you had to take a language, you had to take a little bit of everything. In grade 11 and 12, we had more of an opportunity to choose our courses and streamline. So I took all the sciences and all the maths, but I also was lucky to be able to take a law course. I was able to, well, English was mandatory, and I was able to continue on with my phys ed, actually, which was, when I say phys ed, people are like, oh, it's gym class, but I saw it more than that. It was, you know, that healthy, active living, and we were able to do that, as well as I was in strings as well. So I went up to grade 12 music. So academically, I would say I definitely preferred the science route, but I was able to take a bunch of different courses to make sure that I had exposure and experience in different fields. So that would be kind of the academic side of things. Extracurricularly, sports was definitely where I excelled. I was, again, like I said, I was in the strings. I played violin from I think I started in grade 5 at Havergal.
Wow.
So I was in strings. I never, just time-wise, I didn't do any of the plays or choirs, but I know that was a huge component of a lot of girls' high school career. I was in the dance show every year, so that was a fun little something different. But soccer, rowing, and volleyball were the biggest for me. And taking a leadership role as captain of the varsity teams in grade 12 of all those teams, and winning the Athlete of the Year and Sportsmanship Cup were things I would add to my resume. And then leadership-wise, I had the opportunity throughout every grade, you have opportunity to be on student council or grade reps.
Mm.
And in my grade 12 year, I was elected a prefect, which is a group of girls that are led to run the school. So that was in grade 12. And I will say that contributed to my grade 12 year in terms of taking a bit of ownership within the school and a leadership role within the school. And then upon graduation, I was also voted to be an old girls rep. So that just has kept the Havergal world strong for me, in that there's 4 of us that are old girls reps for our class, which is that connection for our class to the school for old girl activities. So, I would think most graduates from Havergal could divide their, high school resume, if you will, into that academic component, which Havergal fosters, encourages, and actually gives a lot of variability that you can kind of choose your destiny to some extent. Extracurriculars in terms of community and volunteer work, sports, music, the arts, and then that leadership role, whether it's a formal leadership role or, courses or opportunities within the community to take on an informal leadership role as well.
And what was your proudest moment there?
In grade 11, we won the national, it was the big rowing regatta at the end of the year for all of Canada, and a bunch of schools from the States came down, and we should not have won. We were not in contention. And you know what? We pulled together and we ended up winning. And it was one of those, I was so proud, but so proud to be part of Havergal, to be part of that team, to have that opportunity. And you know what? With all my rowing and all my international competitions to date, that is still my favorite rowing memory and Havergal memory, and probably one of the proudest I've been while a student at the school.
Let's go back to when you and your family were choosing a school for you to go to, and why did you choose Havergal? And before going to Havergal, where were you?
I will preface this by saying that my grandmother went to Havergal, my mom went to Havergal, I went to Havergal, and my sister, who's a year younger, went to Havergal as well. So so I went to a neighborhood public school. I live in the Havergal area, so I went to a neighborhood public school up until grade 3, and then I started at Havergal in grade 4, which was an entrance year in my day. You know what? At the time, my parents kind of put me through the process. If you asked my parents why they decided to send me to Havergal, I don't think they were planning to send both my sister and I when we were in grade 4. But my mom says that I came home one day from my public school and informed her that girls were not supposed to do math and science, that girls were only supposed to do the languages. And so my parents, I think, made the decision at that point in time that maybe single gender education was the best choice for me. And my best friend at the time from the public school, we went to Havergal at the same time. So I think that probably helped that transition. But you know what, honestly, it was an opportunity that my parents, we went through the interview process and the admissions process, and it was a very seamless transition for me. And I remember kind of, my parents made the choice. I didn't fight them. We started in grade 4, and my parents said, if this isn't something you like, try it for a year and we'll go from there. And I graduated, 9 years later. So I did not apply to any other school. I think that was a combination of, a bit of our family legacy at Havergal, having had my grandmother and my mom gone there. Geographically, we lived close to the school, so, walking distance, so that helped. And you know what, I think everything kind of aligned that, Havergal worked, and we went to Havergal, and my parents were keen on the sports at Havergal and the science curriculum, and I think that's what helped push us in that direction.
Further to that, Charlotte, if you had to pick one thing, what did you appreciate most about going to Havergal?
I think when I was a student at Havergal, what I appreciated most was, I'll use the term safe space, and what I mean by that is this came with some realization after the fact. I was able to be me before I totally knew what me was. And what I mean by that is I had a safe space to, try out for, the dance group, and, try a community service event, and try French in grade 10 and not do well in it. It was a safe space, a safe community. The teachers, the staff, the girls, the community around Havergal allowed us all to kind of figure out who we were at a time where we didn't entirely know what we were. And I am so grateful to have had all those opportunities. I'm grateful to have been cut from the team in grade 9. I'm grateful to have been the captain of the soccer team in grade 12. I'm grateful to have taken strings and not been the best in the class. I'm grateful to have tried Spanish and Latin and hated it, but had the opportunity to try it. I'm grateful for the peer group. I'm grateful for, the bringing together as a school and not just your grade. So I so looked up to the older girls when I was in grade 9. And then when I was in grade 12, I so valued being a leader for the younger girls. So I think the ability to figure out who I was within a space where I never felt judged. I actually felt that every opportunity was an opportunity to take. And that helped, develop tools in your toolkit to continue to foster whatever it is any of us decided to do.
To the best of your knowledge, what most differentiates Havergal from other schools your family may have chosen?
Havergal is very rooted in tradition, and it's rooted in where it all started in, I think it was the late 1800s, and that mission statement put forward by the principal at that time in terms of being a place for girls to gain confidence, for girls to be able to build a foundation to go out and make a difference. And what I will say about Havergal, and in light of what's going on in our world right now, across the border and even in our own country, is Havergal has always stayed very, very true to that statement, that it is a place, yes, it's a place that, not everyone can go to based on socioeconomic background. I mean, there are bursaries and scholarship, but there is a divide there a little bit. But it is a place where it is grounded in that tradition of preparing girls to make a difference. Okay. And again, having been a graduate, when I was at the school, I don't think I entirely understood what that meant. Now that I'm out the other side, what is a difference? A difference can be, something smaller in your community, something global, something research-wise, something within your own family, something with animals. It can be whatever it is that you define as making a difference. But Havergal has always been ingrained in giving girls the confidence to go out and make the difference that they're ready to make. And I would say, again, I didn't go to any of the other schools, so I don't want to say that other schools don't do that, but Havergal stays true to that. I have to applaud Havergal with all the changes and transitions and different principles and the way the world is. There's changes, and Havergal doesn't have the same religious affiliation it did back when it first started. There is an ebb and flow, but I think that solid groundwork in that tradition and in that one statement of preparing girls to make a difference through gaining confidence is what really sets Havergal apart, and for me, what has probably made the biggest difference in my life.
If Havergal was to become personified, that is to be a person, can you describe their personality in 3 words?
Confident, intelligent, and empathetic.
What would you say are Havergal's highest values in actual practice?
Yeah, I would say the values, Havergal's highest values are, again, I don't want to go against what probably the statement on the Havergal website says in terms of values, but for me, the values that have been instilled with me is honesty and integrity, for sure. That, again, I don't know how to word this properly, but that constant search of knowledge, quest of knowledge, pushing the envelope to find out more, and being a citizen of the community and contributing to the community in which you are part of, whatever community that is, big or small, and to be an active citizen among that in that community.
What do you think students and families would find surprising about Havergal, and what was surprising to you when you were there? I mean, it's rooted in your family, so there aren't many surprises, but can you think of anything that might surprise other people considering going to Havergal?
I don't think I had a lot of surprises. I mean, it's there's rules, and it's a school that is rooted in tradition and strong value system and moral and ethical code, but it's also a place where I had a lot of fun and I learned a lot, and I had the experiences of traveling with friends, exchanges, community work. So it's not all, again, there's academics and focus is a big part of it, but it's also a place that you make mistakes, you have fun, You have a good group of peers, again, older and younger. You have teachers that are, oh, the faculty is just so inspirational, but so real. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
people that, I think maybe what people don't know is that once you graduate from Havergal, you're not done with Havergal. Whether it's the faculty, whether it's staff, whether it's the security guards that sit at the front, whether it's your peers, whether it's the girls behind you, Havergal is a lifelong community that if you want to be a part of it, you absolutely can. And I don't know if I realized that when I was at the school. I don't know if my parents realized that either. So that might be something that people, parents, when you send your kid there for high school or for whatever grade, that's just the starting point. They're part of that Havergal world. And so are the parents for forever if they choose to be.
Now, can you take a moment and just describe a typical Havergal student?
You know what? I don't know if there is a typical Havergal student. I think Havergal encourages all of us to be our own person to some extent. Now, I will say most Havergal students are quite goal-oriented, quite focused, quite driven. But I actually don't think it's fair to say there's a typical student or a mold that has to fit who goes to Havergal. So I don't think I can answer that other than saying that Havergal allows people or students to be who they are while encouraging them and challenge them to be the best version of themselves.
Do you think your experience at Havergal shaped the person you are today, and in what way?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Havergal, and again, I promise you that the school did not have any conversation with me before I had this conversation. Every year, I reflect on the experiences I had at Havergal and see how they have shaped who I am today through my pursuit for higher education, through my forever connection with sport and rowing, to my personal relationships with, my classmates at Havergal, my former teachers at Havergal, and people that I've connected with after I graduated through the Havergal community. Havergal is a place that I am proud to have gone to. Havergal is a place that I know I'm very, very lucky to have gone to. Havergal and the people at Havergal and the Havergal community inspire me every single day to be better. And that the Havergal family is one that has created opportunity for me as I continue to, pursue professional career, my ability that I probably pushed the envelope at a younger age, going out on my own, starting businesses, doing new things. I don't know if I would have had that confidence or that ability to think that I could. I mean, I made tons of mistakes, but the ability to try, if Havergal hadn't ingrained that as one of my foundational skills or a tool in my toolkit when I went through the school. Everyone probably got something different out of the school. I'm not, again, going back to what's the typical Havergal student. But I think my, sports and my coaches, coupled with the academic and the push for academic excellence, and being surrounded by incredible, my classmates were brilliant and talented, and what they're doing now, oh my goodness, I'm just so amazed and so proud. So, I mean, in short, yes, Havergal, if I had to pinpoint a time in my life that was the most influential into growing me into who I am today and who I will become, it's Havergal, hands down.
If you had to pick something about Havergal that you would want to change, is there anything that you would?
You know what? Sometimes I wish there's a bit of a stigma with private school, and there's a bit of a stigma with Havergal, and I guess there's a stigma with anything in life. But I wish I could change that a little bit. That I was lucky to go there. I know not everyone had the opportunity or will have the opportunity to go there, and I'm the first one to acknowledge that. But I wish sometimes there is a bit of a stigma of, oh, you're a private school girl, or oh, you went to Havergal, or oh, and I think I'm acknowledging that I'm lucky and I had an opportunity, but don't judge me just because of that. Do you know what I mean? So I wish I could change that a bit, but you know what? That is also human nature. I find that with having gone to U of T as well to some extent. But that would be one thing that I wish I could change a little bit. I don't know if it's possible to change it.
So how has your perspective on the school and your experience there evolved over time? I mean, you alluded to that a couple of times, but if you can just kind of encapsulate that, how your perspective on Havergal has evolved.
Definitely has involved. I think, when did I graduate? I guess almost 15 years ago now. I've had the opportunity of maybe being more connected to the school than some of my classmates, in that being an old girl representative, having been a coach on the rowing team, and then having, affiliated with the school for some of my professional services and collaborating with the school for those. So it's interesting. I probably have a few different perspectives in terms of being an old girl, being on the coaching side, being on the staff, and being part of the implementation of new programs. I think today, if you ask me how my, perception of the school has changed, I have to give Havergal credit. The world is changing. The world with technology and, adapting to prepare these students for a future that I think none of us know is really what it's going to be. Havergal is working hard to really, really stay on top of that. And I've been very impressed with that. Havergal is also, I would say, has made a conscious effort to engage more of the old girl community, to inspire, to mentor, to lead the current students, which again, I think adds a whole other element to that, I'm saying high school, but I mean from JK to high school, to that high school curriculum, is that having real life people to say, oh my gosh, they did this, or oh my gosh, they came from Havergal and did this. And it adds that extra inspirational component. So, I mean, my perception of the school hasn't changed, in that I think it delivers an excellent education. It offers, every extracurricular under the planet to engage in, to see what kind of, whether it's the robotics team, whether it's sports, whether it's music, whether it's community service, whether it's arts, whether it's, working with little kids. It gives you that, and Havergal has not lost that. So I have to give Havergal credit that they've maintained that value system and that core that I spoke to earlier about, that tradition, while adapting with what's happening in the world and how the world's changing, and the technology that's coming to be more at the forefront of where current students are probably going to end up.
Would you recommend that students enroll in Havergal? And if you can, just off the top of your mind, give us the 3 biggest reasons why you think someone should enroll at Havergal.
Yes, I would say they should enroll in Havergal. 3 biggest reasons is the support system that Havergal provides, whether a student, needs a little extra academic support or emotional support or whatever that may be. So I'd say the support system. I'd say to be part of that community I've spoken about earlier, the school community, but the student body community, but also the greater community. And also, the ability to be taught by some of the best teachers in some of the best facilities, with some very specialized programs that, whether it's kind of the STEM program with the science and the technology, or, the languages, to allow students to get a bit of a leg up before they pursue whatever's after high school.
Outside of those reasons, imagine you're talking to a family who's watching you right now. What would you say to a family right now? What's the one thing they should know about sending their child to Havergal?
Sending your child to Havergal will challenge them, will push them, will inspire them, and will create a foundation that they can always come back to, but that will allow them to pursue, again, whether, and I hate using the word big or small, but whatever it is that girl wants to pursue, they will have the tools in their toolkit to use that. They're going to have to use it. They have to walk through that door, but Havergal will open every door possible for them, and allow them to be whoever and whatever they want to be, with such a strong foundation that they will have the ability to continue to excel.
And speaking of the school itself, as someone's visiting or touring the school, what would you draw their attention to above all else?
I mean, again, being an athlete, the facilities at Havergal, I continue to go back and I'm in awe. They're even more advanced than I was there. But the facilities, from the sports facilities to the theater, to the science labs, to the cafeteria and community space. There's a separate junior school that has all of those things, but within, for the grade JK to grade 6. So they have their own space as well. Yeah. But the physical structure of the school and the grounds that the school has at, I guess I guess we'll call it the heart of Toronto at Avenue and Lawrence,
Yeah.
is above and beyond anything that, and they continue to put time and money and raising money and awareness into making sure those continue to be state of the art.
Imagine you're going to be talking to a student who's just entering Havergal. They've enrolled and they're just about to go to school there. What one piece of advice would you give to them today?
I would tell them to take advantage of every opportunity, to ask every single question you can, to be challenged, to be inspired, and to be grateful to be among classmates, a student body, a faculty, and a community, and just to take it one day at a time. Don't look too far in the future. Don't stress too much about, getting the mark for university. It's all going to work out. Enjoy the time that you have within, to develop the skills and that foundation within a safe space, because you're lucky to be there, and to enjoy it, and that the friendships you make and the connections you make at Havergal are forever and ever and ever. And that I hope they call me in 20 years and we can have this conversation once they've graduated, that Havergal has prepared them to make a difference in their world, whatever that difference is. So to take every day, to take every opportunity, just say yes to everything that Havergal has to offer, and to be humble, because you're lucky to be there and you're among the best. But you've got to do something with that. So don't waste the time you have, but use that time to do something with it.